In squalid back alley Tehran, a doorway to the underworld. A quick fix for boredom, an escape from the stresses of poverty, joblessness, the vortex of hopelessness.
I have no hope in my life anymore.
I've tried to kill myself twice. Unfortunately, I'm still here.
An addict died of an overdose in here the previous night. It happens almost every night. So just how is this Islamic Republic run by Puritan clerics dealing with the world's biggest drug problem? Zero tolerance? Well, prepare to be surprised. Iran has the highest heroin addiction rate on the planet. No other country even comes close. Hundreds of tons of drugs flood in from next door Afghanistan, most en route to Europe. The Iranian government admits to 3.5 million addicts among its 75 million people. 1 in 3 has HIV/AIDS, and 90% have hepatitis C, an even more deadly disease. Needle sharing is to blame. At 21, Ramin on the left, an addict for 5 years. Majid, his pusher, 20 years an addict. Ramin says he's feeling great now that he's shot up. Before he said he felt awful.
We've got no money. I hate people.
No one likes us in this world.
Ramin's a thief. In Iran, like everywhere else, drugs and crime inextricably linked.
I break into apartment buildings, start at the top floor and work my way down, stealing all the nice shoes people leave at their front doors.
But not everyone stoops that low. Some of us make money by selling heroin, as well as shooting it.
Muhammad was a heroin addict for 12 years. Now he's been clean for 1. He's on a mission to help others get off the drug. Every morning, accompanied by another ex-addict, Morteza, he heads to where they used to shoot up. They're mobbed by addicts who come for the handouts of syringes and clean needles. Amazingly, this is all officially sanctioned and subsidized by a government which just a few years ago used to execute addicts.
What these guys have been doing has been really effective. The needle exchange program has massively brought down the number of HIV and AIDS cases around here.
Morteza and Muhammad provide medical care for the addicts and dispense advice and clean equipment. The United Nations now praises Iran's enlightened approach, a far more pragmatic, progressive drugs policy than America's, and this from a regime the West brands conservative. Muhammad now takes methadone, a synthetic heroin substitute, a medical surrogate. The methadone programs backed and funded by government policy. Addicts treated as patients, not criminals.
Methadone is a kind of pill that keeps you away from drugs. And even if the police stops you, they can't lock you up.
The police actually turned up as the addicts had gathered, and the camera was rolling. No problem though, it's all above board.
I think methadone is a miracle. I used to inject 7 grams of heroin a day. I'd line up 5 syringes next to each other, stick the needle in my arm, and as soon as it was finished, I'd swap the syringe over.
Muhammad used to steal from his mum. Methadone has radically transformed their relationship.
He leads a healthy life now. He wakes up every morning, takes shower, and even make his own breakfast. I'm just so happy for him.
Muhammad unhooked himself from what in Persian they call gard, or powder, through Tehran's Persepolis Center, which now attracts hundreds of addicts.
Patients who come here switch from intravenous addiction to methadone treatment, and they also get counseling here.
Bijan Nasiri Manesh, a doctor by training, first set up in a trailer. 3 years on, and he's got 3 separate compounds in the capital. Methadone doesn't produce a euphoric hit among users, but it does banish the cravings that go with heroin. A single dose lasts up to a day and a half, and it's swallowed, not injected, so the risk of catching HIV or Hep C is almost zero. At Persepolis Center, they grind down the pills so the patients can't sell the methadone on the street.
You feel normal when you take meth. It's like you've never taken drugs and you're a normal person.
The methadone outpatient and detox centers are being talked up by President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, whose liberal drugs policy is earning him newfound respect. Back in the days of Ayatollah Khomeini, possession of even 2 grams of heroin was a capital offense.
Contrary to what people think about the current government, that is more conservative and fundamentalist, it supports our program much more than the previous governments. When President Ahmadinejad was the mayor of Tehran, he ordered the city authorities to build 40 drop-in centers. And now that he's become the president, he always talks about methadone treatment and is quite open about Iran's drug problem.
It may be that the Iranian government just realized that executing and locking up addicts wasn't working, but policy is now also driven by fear of a looming HIV epidemic. This is a counseling session at Persepolis Center led by Bijan's wife, Faranak. Recently, the methadone treatment program was extended to prisons, which is where most addicts catch HIV, sharing homemade syringes or pumps. 3/4 of Iran's prisoners are addicts.
You can score drugs in jail much more easily than outside. When I was inside, I used to go to the pusher, pay him a bit of money, and inject with the pump. The same pump was used by at least 100 people to inject drugs from the morning till night, and it could be used by even more than 100 people. Way more.
The prison wardens bring the drug inside prison themselves. Sometimes they also give it to a visitor to bring it in for them, but it's usually the police that bring the drug inside prison.
Iran's methadone revolution may consign all that to history. The open-mindedness of the approach, verging on counterintuitive in this regimented Islamic society. Handouts for those who just a few years ago would have been hanged, now doubly reprieved from a life that may well have killed most of them anyway.